Hello students, welcome to another session of Mains PYQs. Today we will be discussing on the sixth question of history. 2023 mains paper had 6 questions of history and we have discussed all of them. Today is the last question. So if you have missed any of the questions, kindly go back in the series and watch them. You can also attend all the questions. Okay, here you can submit the answers, write the answer and submit them. It will be evaluated. So I suggest you do that to take the full benefit of this initiative that we have launched. Okay, coming to today's question. This question was talking about the difference between Mahatma Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore in their approach towards education and nationalism. Okay, it was a question from the modern history and the personalities part. Okay, there is a different subsection in the syllabus which says important personalities of modern history. Okay, last year there was a question on Maulana Abul Kalam Azad. Okay, and this year there's a question on Rabindranath Tagore. So almost every year UPSC asked one question regarding a personality. Okay, so it's your duty, it's your job. Okay, to make that when you make notes on modern history, you incorporate personalities as well. Okay, like 15-20 personalities should be there, important people who you can write at least a couple of pages on. Okay, here the question was not generally on Rabindranath Tagore. Okay, it was specifying on his ideas of education and nationalism and contrasting them with Gandhiji's ideas on the same two domains. Okay, so they have made your job easier by providing you some context and providing you some material to write. Okay, writing just about Rabindranath Tagore's idea on the education and nationalism would not have been you might not have been able to write a couple of pages on that, but when you contrast it Mahatma Gandhi's ideas, because when you study Gandhiji, you know about his ideas on education. Okay, his system of new talim, the Vada scheme of education, so you can write that as a contrast to Rabindranath Tagore's ideas. Okay, so in this way you can complete this answer. Okay, coming to the question here in the introduction, first thing you can talk about is Rabindranath Tagore and Mahatma Gandhi, how they both were spiritual leaders. Okay, they had their distinct and comprehensive philosophy and ideas for a nation, like social, political, economic ideas. Okay, so you have to know their ideas. Okay, and then you can talk about how Mahatma Gandhi was primarily and more focused in politics, but Rabindranath Tagore limited himself to spiritual leadership and philosophical leadership. Okay, so this is one thing you can talk about, the difference in their approaches, the difference in their political participation. Okay, Rabindranath Tagore, he was not active even in the Congress. Okay, he was there. Okay, and his family had participated, but he was not very active. He focused more on the spiritual and cultural side. Okay, so this is the introduction. You can write about them. Then in the body part, first we come to education. Okay, rather than comparing them one to one, okay, because it's a detailed discussion, let's discuss on both of their ideas. Okay, Mahatma Gandhi, Rabindranath Tagore. Okay, Mahatma Gandhi's, when you talk about education, the first thing you learn about is his idea of Nai Talim. He wrote an article, an essay, wherein he propounded his views on his Nai Talim. Nai Talim is new scheme of education that he proposed. In his idea, he wanted the education to incorporate vocational education, vocational training as well. Like people who study should also learn some vocational training. Like this idea has also been taken up by new education policy. The NEP 2020 has this idea of vocational education, wherein after say class 8 or 10 there will be the option when the students can opt for vocational training and not go to regular school. Currently we have that system which is called ITI, okay, industrial training, after 12th, but the new education policy wants to reform it, okay, and make it even earlier. Okay, because even if you want to do ITI, you should at least complete class 10th. Okay, but the new education policy wants it to prepone it. Okay, so there's idea of new talim. Okay, he wants to promote professional education. Okay, inspired by this his idea, the Congress developed Vada scheme. Okay, it was the idea inspired by Gandhi ji. Okay, and when Congress won the provincial elections, okay, in the provinces when Congress was in power, this scheme was applied. This scheme was launched. Okay, herein the vocational education was started with the proper education which was being provided. Okay, next we see. Okay, he saw education as developing character. Okay, because in his idea, a person should be able to work on his own. That's why he always spun charka himself. Okay, because he wanted everyone to know the value of manual labor, physical labor. Okay, so he saw it as an vocational education, as a idea of developing character. Okay, next he advocated for a simpler life. Advocated simple life. In his the symbol was the charkha. He was against the industrialization. Okay, he saw industrialization as something which would end or reduce physical labor and hence employment. Okay, so he was on the other side of the domain. He did not wanted industrialization to come down and the machines to replace humans. Okay, he saw machines as the evil that will replace the human work and put a lot of people out of business. Okay, anyway, it has been proven to be a very old idea, because across history we have seen whenever there is innovation, like industrial revolution replaced a number of replaced human muscle power with coal power and machine power. Okay, so it removed people from working in factories. Okay, but it created new opportunities for them. Gandhiji was of the Luddite mentality. Okay, that the Luddites was a movement in Britain which opposed industrial revolution. They saw in their machines as a replacement for human work and saw the machines as a source of all the evil. Okay, so he wanted a simpler life. His ideas, his educational ideas and ideas for economy reflected in ideas for education. Okay, like because he did not want industrialization and engineering and machines, he wanted people to learn vocational education. Okay, then he promoted vernacular education. Vernacular education. Okay, he wanted people to learn their own mother tongue, and the basic education, the primary education, should happen in their mother tongue. So this idea has also been incorporated by national new education policy. Okay, it promotes the idea of three languages, where in the third language would be a local language, the language chosen by the state or school, which would be easier for people to start learning. Okay, now we come to the ideas of Rabindranath Tagore. Okay, he wanted to, in his essays and his writings, he said he wanted to decolonize education. As in, he saw the rote learning which was promoted in schools as the students were like, in his metaphor, okay, the students were like parrots, birds who were caged, and they were being fed the textbooks. Okay, so he did not want that. Okay, so to promote his idea and to start with his own ideas of education, he started Vishwa Bharati University. Okay, wherein the classes were held under trees. The classes were held under trees, and it followed the Gurukul system. Gurukul system, as in there would be a guru who would be taking care of a number of children, and he would impart many knowledge of many subjects to them. Okay, and this way he wanted to bring back the old system of education that India had. Okay, earlier India had in India's education system had the ideas of Gurukul, okay, and the maktabs. Okay, so he wanted to bring back the older system and instill cultural values. He saw education as a tool for moral and social development. Okay, he wanted to instill spiritual ideas. Okay, he wanted to spirituality. He wanted to promote spiritual ideas in his schools. Okay, he wanted to follow the curiosity driven learning. Curiosity driven learning, and he focused on English education. English education. Okay, as you will see, his nationalist ideas, that he wanted India and Indians to be global citizens, and he recognized English as a global language, and also wanted all his students to be comfortable with English. Okay, so these are the educational ideas of Mahatma Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore. Next, we come to the nationalism. We coming to nationalism. What is nationalism? Nationalism is a desire of people belonging to the same race, ethnic, culture group to promote, to have their independent country. Okay, so that's the idea of nationalism. So Gandhiji used this idea. Gandhiji used this idea for the political mobilization. He wanted Indians to recognize India as a culturally distinct geographical entity and develop a loyalty towards them, so that they would fight for its independence. Okay. He wanted to use this idea of nationalism to influence masses against colonial struggle. Against colonial struggles. Okay, in his nationalist ideas, in his idea of nationalism, he wanted India to have its distinct identity and develop itself from scratch. He wanted to throw out all elements of colonial structures, which included the colonial administration. Okay, he wanted his idea was of village republic. He wanted India's village to be self-sufficient economically, socially, administratively, and politically. That if the village, his idea was, if the villages become self-sufficient, the nation would become self-sufficient. So his idea reflected in his nationalist ideas that he wanted to throw out all the British systems that had come to India. Okay, and so in pursuit of his nationalist idea, because he had influenced and inspired masses to develop the idea of nationalism, and the idea, in that idea, the geographical definition of India was all of Indian subcontinent. So that is the reason he opposed partition, because it was against his idea of India as a nation. Okay, later he had to agree to it because the Congress was agreeing to it. Okay, so now we come to Rabindranath Tagore's idea of nationalism. Okay, in the idea of nationalism, he saw nationalism in a negative light. He saw nationalism as a divisive force. Like, nationalism intends to create distinct countries out of people having a common cultural consciousness, common cultural identity. Okay, but Rabindranath Tagore wanted to promote the idea of global citizenship. The idea Vasudev Kutumbakam, like the world is one family, and he saw the idea of nationalism as against his idea of a global family. Okay, so he was against this idea of nationalism that had generated. Though he was not against the national movement as such, he wanted India to be independent from the colonial rule so that India could develop its own cultural identity and promote its cultural identity. Okay, he wrote the song Amar Shunar Bangla, which is currently the national anthem of Bangladesh. But it was not his idea, not his manifestation of nationalist feeling, but more of cultural feeling, because he did not want, it was written during when the British had announced the partition of Bengal. Okay, he wanted Bengal to develop its own cultural identity. Okay, not because he wanted Bengal to develop his nationalist identity. In opposition to Gandhiji, who wanted to throw out everything which had come from outside, he was open to ideas. Okay, he was open to all kinds of ideas which were good from all over the world. Okay, so this is how his idea of nationalism was quite different from Gandhiji. Okay, they even differed on a number of issues. Okay, they exchanged a lot of letters. Like they were also different on the ideas of Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Okay, Mahatma Gandhi criticized Raja Mohan Roy's idea of rejecting Indian systems of education and promoting Western system of education. Okay, so Mahatma Gandhi in an essay had criticized Raja Ram Mohan Roy for his inclination to Western ideals and systems. Okay, but Rabindranath Tagore wrote a rejoinder to it and said Raja Ram Mohan Roy was a product of his times. Okay, he saw all the systems, all the social evils of around that time, and saw the English education, the Western education, as a method to cure them. Okay, so his actions should be seen in the context of his time and his ideology. Okay, so these two people, Rabindranath Tagore and Mahatma Gandhi, differed on a lot of subjects. Okay, in conclusion, you can talk about how Mahatma Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore are both global icons of our times. Okay, and even though they differed in a lot of ideas, in a lots of domains and dimensions, they both inspired millions to join national movement. Okay, so this is the conclusion for this answer. Okay, we'll meet again with another answer. Thank you and keep writing.